Imagine standing right in the center of New Delhi, at Jantar Mantar. You're surrounded by this deafening, unrelenting wall of sound. Literally hundreds of voices shouting in total unison, and there's this raw, chaotic energy just vibrating through the air. You honestly don't even need a microphone to hear the anger. It is that palpable. Welcome to This Explainer. Today we aren't just scanning the headlines. We're taking the actual unfiltered audio from the massive CJP demonstration, stripping away the chaos and decoding exactly what is happening on the ground. We're going to break down the anatomy of this protest, piece by piece, to understand the deep-seated grievances that are fueling this fire.
If you were actually standing in that crowd, the sheer volume of the chants would be the very first thing to hit you. But you know, it's the repetition that truly tells the story. Over and over, without even pausing for breath, the crowd screams, "Long live the revolution! Long live youth unity!" Now, this isn't just a random assortment of citizens. The repetitive intensity of these specific chants immediately establishes the core demographic here. This is a youth-led demonstration. It's young people, it's students, locking arms and projecting a totally unified front. They are establishing their identity before they even start listing their demands.
Okay, let's dive into this. Because while chanting "Long live the revolution" totally sets the mood, it doesn't really tell us the why. It's super easy to get lost in the overwhelming noise of a massive gathering like this. But if we listen closely to the specific phrases cutting through all that din, a very clear narrative actually emerges. We need to pivot from the emotional energy of the crowd to an objective breakdown of what is actually driving these students into the streets. Like, what is the specific spark that lit this fire?
Section 1. Youth Exhaustion and Exams. Decoding the Grievances. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is this exact sentence spoken explicitly during the live demonstration. The youth in our country are tired. It's such a simple statement, right? But it carries incredible weight. Amidst all the aggressive political chanting, this sudden moment of vulnerability really stands out. This isn't just about political opposition. It is about a genuine, bone-deep exhaustion regarding the current examination system. The youth aren't just angry. They are completely worn out by a system they feel is constantly working against them. This exhaustion is basically the very foundation of their anger.
So, let's look at how that exhaustion translates into actionable core grievances. The protesters are voicing a total rejection of the current exams. You can hear them shouting, "We will not do exams, and we will not be scared." And wow, this is a massive escalation. They aren't just asking for a retest or some minor reform. They're expressing a vocal refusal to even participate in a system they believe is deeply compromised. Furthermore, they're directly tying this exam crisis to the broader political landscape. They're expressing intense anger towards the administration's politics, chanting, "Stop the politics." They really feel the integrity of their education has just been hijacked by political maneuvering.
Section 2. The Primary Demands. The Political Ultimatum.
When a massive group of exhausted, frustrated youth flat out refuses to participate in the system, what exactly do they want the government to do about it? Well, the answer is deafening. Resign, resign. This is without a doubt their most repetitive and non-negotiable political demand. It just echoes continuously throughout the raw audio. They're demanding immediate high-level accountability. Specifically, they're targeting the top levels of the ministry overseeing the education system. They believe the failures of the exam system are so profound that absolutely nothing short of the education minister stepping down will suffice. They are laying the blame squarely at the top.
So, the crucial point is understanding how this protest actually operates on two entirely different levels at the exact same time. On one hand, we have the immediate political demand: resign. They want the minister out. That's clear direct accountability for the exam failures. But alongside that, we hear a much darker, systemic demand being chanted: stop the murders. This reveals that the protesters do not view the exam crisis as just some administrative glitch. They view the stress, the systemic failures, and the compromised futures of students as a form of fatal institutional violence. They're framing the loss of opportunity and, in some tragic cases, the actual loss of life due to immense pressure as murders committed by the system itself. Listen to the specific language they use to reject this system. They chant "theft won't be tolerated," framing paper leaks and exam corruption not as bureaucratic errors, but as the active stealing of their futures. They shout "dictatorship won't be tolerated," suggesting they feel the administration is forcing this broken system upon them with an iron fist, totally ignoring their pleas. By chanting "stop the politics" and "we will not be scared," they're actively resisting what they see as an intimidating, dictatorial approach to education management. They are firmly drawing a line in the sand.
Section 3. Ideological Roots and Icons. Beyond the Exams.
To truly understand the sheer scale and the historical weight of this protest, we really have to look beyond the immediate exam crisis. We have to examine the specific ideological icons the students are invoking in their chants. Because, this isn't just about a single test, it's tapping into decades of historical struggle. And this brilliantly illustrates that deeper connection. Amidst the calls for resignation and the rejection of the exams, you hear these powerful recurring chants: victory to Beam, victory to Rohit. By elevating these specific names, the demonstration seamlessly connects its current grievances regarding education to profound, nationwide social movements. Let's look at exactly who they're invoking here.
The Rohit they are chanting for is Rohit Vemula. He was a Dalit scholar whose tragic death years ago sparked massive, nationwide protests against institutional discrimination within Indian universities. By chanting his name today, the protesters are invoking him as a very real symbol of student martyrdom. This directly explains why they're chanting "Stop the Murders." They're drawing a straight line from the institutional discrimination that failed Rohit Vemula to the systemic corruption they believe is currently destroying the exam system. To them, it's the exact same fight against a deeply flawed institution.
Similarly, the chant "Victory to Beam" or Jai Beam is a direct invocation of B.R. Ambedkar. He was the principal architect of the Constitution of India and a truly towering figure in the fight against social inequality. This slogan honors his legacy and symbolizes the ongoing struggle for Dalit rights, broader social justice, and institutional equality. By weaving Jai Beam into their protests about exam leaks, the youth are framing their demand for a fair education system as a fundamental constitutional right. They're tying their modern-day, exam-related struggles to a historic, systemic fight for equal representation and a level playing field.
So, we've seen the anatomy of this protest. We've heard the raw exhaustion, the absolute demands for the education minister to step down, and the powerful invocation of historical icons fighting for systemic equality. This is an intense, undeniable clash between an exhausted, mobilized youth and entrenched institutional power. But the ultimate question still remains. Will this overwhelming wall of sound and these clear ideological demands be enough to force a high-level political resignation? Or will this massive demonstration eventually just fade away, becoming another echo in the long history of noise at Jantar Mantar? The youth have drawn their line. Now we wait to see how the system responds.